Hello, everyone. This is Paulette Jackson, and I'm calling this My Perspective. And I want to talk about a special that I saw the other day on a major network. I'm not going to name the network, but it was um, called The Last Days of Richard Pryor. And it really wasn't new information, but it was, and in this special, in this newest special that aired the other night, there was bits and pieces, of course, of other interviews and other specials and his stand-up and everything that was incorporated into this special. And of course, there were comedians that were interviewed to talk about their personal experiences with the late great Richard Pryor, and also what type of influence that he had on them. But more than that, I wanted to, from my own eyes, from my perspective, wanted to talk about how brilliant we all know that Richard Pryor was. He took the tragedies of his life, and there were so many, especially in his young life, very young life, and he channeled that into comedy, into making people laugh, and as a way and as a tool for him to deal with the pain. And that's just from my perspective, from where I'm sitting. And just watching him and growing up listening to him and seeing him in other interviews throughout the years. And so for a lot of you who may not have seen this special, again, it was called The Last Days of Richard Pryor. I would urge you to Google it. And I believe it may be on demand on your local station, so you may want to check that out. But so many of us, we go through our level of stuff in our lives. It's always going to happen. And it's just, we have to decide as a people, are we going to succumb to those unfortunate times, or are we going to turn it into a positive? And that's what Richard Pryor did. But it was so much more than that. I believe he was way ahead of his time. He was brilliant. His timing was brilliant. His delivery was brilliant in just a way that he was able to tell his own story without holding any punches. And just looking at that special just made me miss him all over again. His brilliance. Especially the work that he did on movies with Gene Wilder, and it, of course by himself as well, and his stand-up and his albums and so on and so forth. But more than all of that, just from where I'm sitting, my perspective, Richard Pryor just wanted to be respected for his work, for who he was becoming, who he had became, and for just wanting to be accepted and loved and liked. Even though I believe for a long time maybe he couldn't find a way to really like himself. He liked what he did. He liked the fact that he was able to just be brilliant at his comedy and make people laugh and make people think and open up to have other people know the real him and the experiences that he had to endure. And they were not all good experiences. Yes, he has children and he was married, so on and so forth. So he tried to find that personal space for himself, I believe. And it just the anger and the hurt and the pain, I believe, I don't know, just couldn't get on the right track. And again, this is just from my perspective for where I sat and just listening to all of the interviews and just to hear him talk and speak his truths. So, and I'm saying this and I'm sharing all this to say that for those of you who have grown up listening to Richard Pryor, not just his stand-up, but his interviews, and just really listening to him and what he had to say about himself and his life and what he learned and what he wanted to do and what he wanted to hope leave his mark when he left this earth. And I believe he did that. He taught He tried to teach all of us a lot with what he shared. And so many comedians, men and women alike, who will come up through the ranks after him have often shared. And again, there were comedians that are included in this special the other day, The Last Days of Richard Pryor, who talked about their experiences with him, and also their perspective of Richard Pryor and his brilliance and what he manifested through all that and what he had to endure. So if you have not watched it, if you have not watched any interview with Richard Pryor, again, I urge all of you to do so and to hopefully take away some positives, and that you watch it over and over and over again and take your own, have your own take and your own perspectives from what he has said and shared, and also turning all of that into brilliant comedy, into a brilliant career. And let all of us find ways to channel the negatives into positives. Rest in peace. Continue to rest in peace. Richard Pryor. This is just my perspective, everyone. I thank you all for listening. And I will be having more content very, very soon on some other subjects. This is my perspective, and I am Paulette Jackson. Take care, everyone, and Happy New Year.